Everyone, I'm Cal Ewing, and this is Zoom on the spur of the moment Zoom call I decided to do, or I guess not really a call since I'm the only one in here, but I was going to break down a deal that I'm looking at this week. And I've gotten more and more into buying non-performing mortgage notes in the last year. That started from me getting really into owner financing and getting a little taste of what it's like to be the bank instead of the property owner, and just how stress-free it's been, especially when investing remotely. I live in Canada, so obviously investing in the US from Canada has its challenges, and as many of you may know. And I like the idea of being the bank because it's so much more hands-off once you own, or once you have your loan secured to a property. The property and the maintenance and everything else is more in the hands of your borrower, and their job is to pay you on time as the lender. And it's just a lot fewer headaches to worry about. So that's how I got started. And then I got into the idea of actually buying mortgages from banks and learning how to do that, and more specifically, non-performing mortgages. And I'm going to explain a little bit what that entails here by just sharing a deal that I made an offer on to a lender here this week, and I haven't got my response back, but I'm going to just show you how I broke down the deal. This is a deal that an asset manager at a bank had sent me. It is what you call a non-performing note, so it means it's a mortgage that the borrower has stopped paying. I believe in this case they haven't made a payment for 4 months, and so this particular bank is wishing to sell the note to, it's open basically to anyone that wants to buy it, to the public. And they wanted their best offers submitted, I think it was by Thursday of last week, which I did. I made my best offer. I'm going to show you what that is. And now I'm just waiting to hear back to see if my offer was accepted. Okay, so this is the property. It's 2542 Pullins Drive in Urbana, Ohio. And here's a little map of where it's located. So it seems like it's smack dab in the middle of Columbus and Dayton, 45 minutes each way to each city. And it's a pretty nice little home. I got the home details on the next slide, but basically the mortgage amount that is owing right now on this property that this bank is selling off is $132,273, and that includes the 4 months of back payments that they have not made. Okay, which is the reason, or at least one of the reasons, why the bank wants to sell off this note. Okay, so the principal and interest payment that the borrower is supposed to be paying on this mortgage is $663.61 per month at 4%. All right, so that's a little bit better than some of the really low interest rates that people have been getting in the last few years. 4 is a little bit higher than the 2s that we've been seeing, which is, for this strategy, is nice. And it's a conventional mortgage, 30-year fixed rate. And it's about 8.5 years old. So borrowers had been paying on it for 8.5 years. That's a little high because a lot of the interest has already been paid. As many of you guys know, the first few years on your mortgage, you're mostly paying interest and very little principal pay down. And then as the mortgage ages, you're paying more and more principal and less interest. So that part, I wish it was a little bit of a younger loan, but it's not too bad. And like I said, they're 4 months delinquent on this property. All right. So the current appraised value, now this is all just preliminary. This is the information that the lender has provided. So we'd have to do more due diligence once our offer was accepted by the bank. But they say that it's $155,000 as is appraised value. Okay. And as I said, the loan balance is $132,200, which is about 85% loan to value. And there's about $22,700 in equity. Okay. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1916 square feet with 2-car garage on a 1.2 acre lot. So a nice little home, a little bit rural, but still close enough to those 2 major cities, which I think is important. So I stay away from really rural properties, but I feel like this one's close enough to those 2 markets that it's not a bad little house. All right. So I won't get into the details of how I made the offer, but my offer was 55% of the note balance. So 55% of what is owed on that mortgage is what I offered to pay to buy it, okay, to the bank. So that was $72,750, which works out to 47% of the appraised value of the property, okay? So from a security perspective, me as the lender, I'm in for 47% of the total value of the property. So there's a heck of a lot of cushion there if something were to go wrong and we were need to sell off the asset, I'm definitely going to get my money back, which is very important. Okay. And the projected yearly cash on cash. So once I become the bank and I get back paying again. Okay. So what I ultimately want is cash flow. That's my main strategy with these. And so my goal is to take these non-performing mortgages and reach out to the borrower once we own the loan and just say, hey, what can we do? How can we negotiate with you or figure out a way to get you paying again? For some people, it might just be the fact that they got behind during COVID, maybe they got laid off or whatever. So they had trouble and fell behind. Who knows what it could be, but that's the first tactic, is to try and get them paying again, paying for 12 months, and then you can modify the loan or do whatever you need to do. So you can put that balance that they owe, put it on the back of the note or whatever is needed to get the loan performing again. Okay. So let's just say that they are able to get going again, making payments. Then the projected cash on cash return is 14%. Okay. And that's including, typically what we want to do is get about 4 months in cash up front in order to reinstate the loan and modify it. Okay. So basically, if we're going to accept and get the loan modified, we want the borrower to come with some skin in the game, show that they're serious. And so that is typically about 4 months worth of payments that we want in cash up front in order to consider modifying and getting them back current on the mortgage again. Okay, so assuming we get that, it's a 14% cash on cash return, which is pretty great. All right, so that works out to $663.61 per month plus the upfront 4 months of whatever that is, 2,000 and something. Okay, so the strategy is, if they're paying, we can either just keep this asset for as long as they are paying on it, be the lender, and there's your cash flow. It's going to come in every month. And of course, we always have the option of foreclosing and some of these other exits I'm going to tell you about in a second. But that is a great cash flow strategy because it's recurring income and you don't really have to mess much with the property. The same borrowers are going to be in that house. And it's not up to me to worry about repairs and tenants and toilets and things like that. Okay. The other option is you could, once it's re-performing again, you could actually sell the mortgage, sell the note to another investor that is also looking for cash flow and looking for performing notes where they're going to get a consistent payment every month. Okay, so that's exit strategy number one here, is we get it performing for a year, so we get the borrowers back on track and paying 12 months regularly. And then we can sell it as a re-performing note for as much as 85% of the unpaid balance. Okay, so you can sell it to other investors at 85% of the unpaid balance after a year, which would be $112,432. Okay. So we take that sale price, we sell the mortgage to another investor, minus the amount we paid for the mortgage when we bought it. Then plus that, remember I said we take 4 months up front to bring the statement fee from the borrower, plus 1 year of payments, okay, regular loan payments that we'd earned. All right, so we figure all that out. And what do we get? We get $50,299 profit by getting that note performing again and then selling it off after a year. Okay, and that works out to somewhere between 57 and 69% return on investment. And of course, that depends on how quickly we get the borrower paying again, right? If we can get them paying right away in month 1 or 2, that's obviously going to be a higher return annual than if it takes a few months to get them going. So, all right, so that's pretty sweet. That's exit strategy number one. So we could sell the note. Okay, but let's say we can't negotiate with them to get on track. Let's say they're unemployed or they're just not willing to negotiate with us, and there's just no way to get them paying. They cannot afford to keep this house and have this mortgage. Okay, well, there's the best strategy is what's called a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Okay, or cash for keys is another easy way to sum it up, where we just say to the borrower, look, okay, it's not looking good for you. You obviously can't afford this mortgage in this house. We could foreclose on you, and that would impact your credit for at least 7 years and have some pretty negative effects on your life over the next while. Or instead of going the foreclosure route, what if we paid you $5,000 to move out, find a new place, put a deposit on a rental to live in, and we can just walk away from this situation. You can wipe your hands clean of the mortgage, and your credit's not going to take as much of a hit because there's no foreclosure on your record. Okay, and that's called a deed in lieu of foreclosure, because they actually deed the property to you as the lender. Okay. So and then what we would do once we own the property, we could then sell it, just sell it as is on the market with a realtor. Okay. And let's sell it at a discount just to make sure we can sell it quickly at 85% of the as is current value. Okay. So what sale price would that be? Well, 85% of 155, because that's the current appraised value, is 131. All right. Well, almost 132. Okay, so we sell it at 132 minus our purchase price when we bought the note, 72,750, minus the 5,000 that we're going to pay to the owner to walk away and deed it to us. C4K is cash for keys. REO is real estate owned. So we're, as a lender, we're taking the house back, and we own it now. And let's say we hire a real estate agent at 6%, so that's about $8,000, a little bit less. Okay, so that works out to 46,000 profit, and let's assume that that's a 59% return. Let's assuming it's going to take a whole year to sell that property, to get them out of the property, moved out, listed, everything. Okay. Now, of course, maybe we need to spend some money cleaning the place up. Maybe we have to do some landscaping, hire cleaners, maybe even fresh paint or something. But we're not going to do a full rehab. Okay, we want to sell it as is. We don't want fix and flips here. Okay, so yeah, maybe the return's going to be less, and our sale price is going to be, or sale costs are going to be higher. But this is just basic numbers for doing preliminary analysis on this deal. Okay. All right. Well, the other option is foreclosure. So let's just say that these owners are not willing to negotiate with us at all. Maybe we can't even get in touch with them. Who knows? So they're gone. I don't know. But they're not negotiating. So our next option, because we are the lender and they're not making their payments, is we could actually call our attorney in that state and get them to start the foreclosure process. Okay. So obviously it depends on the state. Every state's a little bit different, but we're going to assume for this analysis that it's going to take a full year to go through the complete foreclosure process. Okay. And we're going to say we can sell this property for 90% of the note balance. So 90% of that loan amount, which is the same as about 77% of appraised value. Okay. And we've had a pretty hot real estate market, and foreclosures have been going high. So 70% of value at the foreclosure auction seems pretty realistic. Okay. So some investor buys this thing at the foreclosure auction, and we sell it for 119.5. So minus our note purchase price, 72,750, minus the amount we're going to pay the attorneys to handle the foreclosure cost. And our profit's 41,750. And we're going to assume that that takes a whole year to foreclose, so our return on investment is 54%. Okay, so that's pretty awesome as well. Not as good for the homeowner because they've got a foreclosure on their record, and we don't want that, but sometimes people can't help themselves, right? So this is what we have to do in part of the strategy and our rights as the lender. Okay. Now, let's say we take the property back either through foreclosure, where we don't actually sell it to a bidder at the auction. We just do a cash for keys, deed in lieu, any of those kind of things. Well, our other exit strategies are we keep it and just rent it out, or we keep it and owner finance it. We keep it and fix and flip it. We do a full remodel, or we do a rent to own. Okay, so that's the analysis on that property. I actually ended up making offers on 6 different notes. So I'm anxiously waiting to hear the response back to see if my offer was accepted. I'll let you know how that turns out, and maybe we can do another video on the next steps if we get this property accepted or this note accepted on what to do next. If you have any questions about this strategy, you're curious about anything, you disagree with anything, I'd love a discussion. So feel free to post in the comments below and we can get a discussion going there, or I can answer your questions. Also, I'm going to post my calendar link below. So if you'd like to set up a free real estate investing strategy session with me, I'd be happy to talk to you. We work with a lot of investors to help fund these kinds of deals, and we offer above average returns to our investors who take part. So sometimes we actually bid on pools of notes. So you can actually buy multiple pools or multiple notes in one batch. And so we definitely need investors to help fund that. So I'm happy to discuss that with you as well. So just look for my link below and it'll take you to my calendar page and you can set up a time with me at a convenient time for you. And we can either jump on Zoom like this, or we can have a phone call and get your questions answered and explain a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to try to start posting more videos regularly about these deals that I'm looking at and what's going on in our real estate investing business. So stay tuned for that. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover, I'd also love to hear those recommendations so that we can keep the content rolling and help educate people, maybe give you some ideas on what you can do in your own investing business and help you achieve your real estate goals. So again, I'm Cal Ewing, and we'll talk to you on the next video. Take care.